This side is Abhinav. Today my class is regarding variable in C. Today's agenda is we are going to discuss about variable definition, difference between variable declaration and definition, scope of variable, and C memory layout. I have discussed about basic C concept in previous video, which you can see in the description given below. The link is provided for that video. You can also see if you don't know about basic of the C languages. Let's initiate our class with variable in C and start with variable definition. What is, first of all, before moving forward, what do we mean by variable? Variable means a thing which is vary from one place to another. It changes, it's always changing, and it's not remain constant. Any things in a memory is not always constant, it always changes. In real life also the things are changing continuously. Similarly, in C programming language, variable are used to store types of data. Variable must, we should always concern about the before using variable in C language. It's not like simple Python. How in Python, if we are using Python language, in Python we can just use them without defining. If I am writing int a equal to 4, if I will print a, it will give us 4, but that's, we don't have that flexibility with C. If I want to declare variable in C, we have to define it before using the variable. For example, if I want to use the same variable in C language, if I will write int a equal to 4, our compiler will throw an error. Our GC or any compiler which we are using, it will throw error. It will say that undeclared, first using the function. Error, a is undeclared. The variable a here is undeclared. First using the function means we can't use a variable without declaring it in a C. What variable declaration include? Variable declaration includes the types of variable we have, data type of the variable, and optionally its initial value. For example, if we want to declare a simple variable of integer in a C, we can write this is a basic variable declaration in a C. But when you write int a equal to 5, we are also giving it some initial value. So this int a equal to 5 is known as initialization of the variable along with declaration. These all the three things we can minimum or maximum thing which we can do for a variable initialization or variable declaration. Here int is a data type which we want to provide. It can be character, float, depending upon how much data types we provide, and variable name and its value. But it's not always recommended to pass the value, depending upon your what you want to code and how you want to code, you should give it or not. Similarly, here if we see an example, character gender, char gender, it's creating a character type of variable char with a name gender. We are identifying that variable using, we are identifying character using gender. Similarly, now question arises where we can declare a variable. We can declare a variable in C at three places. One, inside a function, as we are declaring inside a main. Second, above all the file, or at the starting of the file, or inside a function as a function argument. Inside a function as a function argument. So this is the function with the name fun. It consists of two arguments, int a and int b, and its return type is integer. And what it is doing, it's just returning the sum of two variable and storing in a B. here this we have declared variable at three places. One is at this location at the top of every file, integer b, inside the function as a parameter int a and int b, and this int a and int b, it's returning, its return type is integer, and inside the function known as a 5. So these are the three places where we can declare a variable inside C. In C programming language, variable can be declared in three places. These three places can be namely inside function, inside definition of a function as a parameter, or outside of all the function. Depending upon where we have declared variable in C language, they can be classified into three types known as global variable, local variable, or function arguments. Let's discuss them about in detail. Let's initiate with local variable. Including the header file int main. We know that before in C language, as discussed previously, before using any variable, we must declare it. Let's declare variable int a equal to 5. We are declaring and initializing it. We are also defining a function int fun int comma int don't take this integer, let's take it as the void type for example purpose. What I am doing, I am declaring int a in function main, and we are printing what do you think, whether it will work or not? Answer in a comment, but you can pause the video before seeing the output, and you can think of your logic. Let's initiate our further. Here I am declaring int a equal to 5 into main, because we know that before using any variable inside C, we should declare it. We are declaring inside main, and also I am printing that value function in fun, and I am calling that function inside main. Let's see whether it will work or not. According to me, it should not work, because but before telling me this thing, you should know some concept of local variable. What it's saying, a undeclared, first use in this function, print the value of a is this. It's saying that we are using a which is undeclared. So the variable whose scope is inside the curly brackets are known as local variable, or basically a variable that are declared inside a function are called as a local variable. See, the same variable int a equal to 5, it's declared inside main, but we are not able to use inside a fun. So this type of variable is known as a local variable. Variable which can be declared inside a function and cannot be used outside the function is known as a local variable. Similarly, it's if I have declared one variable int b equal to 5 or 6, and we want to print that variable will it work? Answer is no. Let's first clear it. We have to also declare here int a equal to some value. Let's take as it. Now we are running, we have declared a new variable with the name b, but we have int b, we have declared b, but inside this curly braces, but we are printing it outside the curly braces. That's why it's saying that this variable cannot be uninitialized variable. We are talking in the main. Basically, the scope of the local variable is within the curly braces. This local variable scope means lifetime. Till the part we can access the variable is known as scope. The scope of this variable is within the bracket, and scope of this variable is within the function main, and scope of this variable is within function fun. These are the three scope resolution things. Similarly, if I want to access a of main, we can do two things. We should pass the a address, or we can pass a as the argument to the other function. But today is not the agenda of how to use local variable we can access from different functions, but today's agenda is to tell you people what is local variable is all about. What you can see that variables that are declared inside a function are called as local variable. Local variable are used only by statement that are inside the block in which variable are declared. Local variable are not known outside their code block. We can see these things because hint main, this is the code block of this local variable b, and we can't access b outside from this block. Similarly for a, and similarly for this a. In C language, auto keyword is used to declare a local variable. However, all the non-global variable by default are auto local. Makes sense? Local variable are stored inside the stack. This is an example of local variable fun. Int x equal to 10, int x equal to minus 99. Just answer me in the comment what is the value we will see of these functions. Let's move to the global variable or function parameter. In our previous example, which we are using easy.c. Okay, just take this example only. We are taking instead of passing void, we are passing function as an argument, and instead of using these, we are passing here to value 4 and 5. Let's make a equal to 4 and 5. This variable int a comma int b is known as a parameter for the function, or a function parameter. It's also called as function argument. We can see that we are passing function consists of two argument, and we are passing it to variable 4 and 5. This type of variable which are declared inside function parameters is known as formal parameter of the function. Formal parameter variable. This variable also behave like a local variable inside a function. This variable also behave like a local variable in a function. Their declaration occur after the function name and inside parentheses. We can see that the declaration are occurring inside the parentheses. If we will run this code, it will work successfully, and we get a addition of the okay, it's saying undeclared. Okay, just let me comment this line. Okay, actually the return type of the function I have taken it here void. Void function doesn't return anything, so it's showing error. We want to return the integer value. That's why I'm changing its return type to the integer. Int a equal. Here what you can see that I have declared this is the variable int a, it's local to the function. I am declaring the same variable with the integer name a. That's why the two variable have same conflict. It's against C definition, so that's why it's throwing error. Let's remove this because we don't require it right now. By default, here I am passing 4 and 5. That's why the value of a value of a and b should be 4 and 5, and it should return 9 to the main. See, value of a and value of b 4 and 5, I am coming from adding function, and function is returning 9. That's the reason we are seeing these things. Yeah, this we can see that. So we have now understand two type of variable. One is local and one is formal parameter variable. Local variable defined within a function, and formal parameter is a type of a local variable which we declared or which we pass function as an argument. That makes sense. Let's move forward. So you can read it from here what the formal parameter variables are. If function is calling is there, if function call is there, we pass argument to their function, and that argument is known as formal parameter, and the variable which are passed inside the function argument is known as formal parameter variable, and they are also is local to the function. This variable are also stored inside the stack. Okay, you can also see if b equal to c, it will return a plus b, else it won't do anything. Let's move forward. Global variable. Basically, global variable is a variable which is declared above all the, if your .c is a C file, if a variable is declared above all the section of the file is known as global variable, or it can be accessed by everywhere. Similarly, if you will see, I am just creating an integer with the name of global. I am defining it 10. It should be accessible by everywhere. Inside main it will be accessible. See, we are not defined global inside a main, but we are declared it above the function. So that's why it should return, or it should give value of the global variable as a 10. I am a global variable 10. See here, I am a global variable 10. I have given slash n before %. That's why this type of format it was showing. Let's declare it here. I am a global variable and its value is coming 10. Similarly, we can use this printf statement. I am a global variable. Its value will be again 10, 10. 10 we can see 2 times. I am a global variable 10. I am a global variable in function 10. Global variable means which is declared above all the function, and it should be accessed by all the function inside that file or outside that file. So just some trick we will do. What we will do, we will change the global variable name to the 20, and here we have declared it 10. Not here, let's do after this line. Let's change it here. You can see that I am changing the global, this variable global, and I am printing it here 20. So by default it should print here 10, and if it's accessible by everywhere, it should be got overwritten and it should become 20. So in function it should print global variable value as 20. Makes sense? I am a global variable 10, I am global variable a function 20. Now what I will do, inside function I will declare one more global variable with value 40. By default, if global variable and there will be a conflict between global variable and local variable, C compiler gives priority to the local variable. That's why if here is a one local variable created with the name of integer global, and here is a global variable with the name integer global outside the with whose value is 10, and here function value is 40, by default C compiler will take 40 and we will see here 40. There is a conflict between these two because their name are same, but they will consider as all the preferences given to the local variable. Okay, I think I have missed the semicolon somewhere. No semi. What was the error it was showing? Line number 8. Okay, let's see line number 8. Yeah, here in printf I have given this some useless symbol. See here, I am a global variable, I am func 20. These types of mostly the similar logic questions comes in a placement, which will be helpful for the placement and in also in interviews. Sometimes you get a dummy code given by the interviewer to solve it and save them the output. Similarly, you can see here a code and you will can give me the, here instead of count equal to L, it's count equal to 1. You can see the code and print the output inside the comment box. We create a global variable by declaring them outside of any function. Their declaration occur after the function name and inside parentheses. After the function name and inside parentheses, global variable are stored inside data section. Where global variable is stored, they are inside data section. So what is mean by variable declaration versus variable definition? This is a very basic question inside the interviewer asked by all the people for the interview purpose. So you can just push your video and just read all the statement. What is the basic difference between a variable declaration and variable definition? It's just a basic English. You can easily understand it by just reading them. So no need to go deep inside it. Let's move forward. This is a very important question in both placement and interview. Scope of variable. What is first of all mean by scope of variable? We have seen in our code the global. This global variable can be accessible by even main and even function. But if I have defined int a here, this int a won't be accessible by the function here by function fun. So scope is nothing but the lifetime of a program when your variable get created and till what time it can be accessible to what function is known as scope of a variable. Global variable scope is always to the all function, but local variable function is within the local variable. So basically there are 4 type of scopes in C: file scope, block scope, function prototype and function scope. When we talk about file scope means here global variable is declared at the top. At the top means where? At the place at the starting of your file. File scope means of any variable which is declared at the starting time of the file is known as file scope. Basically global scope is also known as file scope. So if we are talking about file scope, start at the beginning of the file and end with the end of file. Means any variable whose scope is start with whose scope start with starting of the file and end and scope continues till end of the file is known as a global variable or a file scope. Block scope means we have seen one function, we have created one variable earlier with the name of int b equal to 40. If I want to access this b, this code won't run because it will throw error because see undefined declaration of b. Here b is created after this block or after this opening curly braces and get end after this curly braces. This b scope will end, means we can't use this b after this curly braces got closed. So this is known as a block scope. Block scope means begin with the opening of a bracket and end with its associated ending bracket. However, block scope also extend to the function parameter. Similarly, if we talk about function parameter, here int a, int b are the two function parameter. They are there is a one opening and closing bracket, like there is a one opening and closing bracket like this, and here our parameters are declared. But when we want to access a and b, this a and b can be accessed within this opening and closing brackets. That is the meaning of that statement, and these are always local to their block. Similarly, functions prototype means here our identifier int a b are declared inside function, but they can be accessible by the function. Here curly braces are there, they will accessible by default. All the variable which you use, their scope is within the curly braces only. If you will see here int a start from this opening braces, and its scope end after this opening closing braces, but it's also known as function scope because it's till that time your function exists. These are the various 4 types of scope variable in C. You can push it, pause it, and read it more detail to know. After running your code, if we will run any code, we get a ELF file or executable file. This executable file have various sections through which our code run, and this is known as C memory layout. Similarly, our file name is, okay, just remove this line, let me comment it. Similarly, I am a global variable this, but if I will see out file, if I will check about out file, it's saying that I am a ELF64 shared object, this version. You can see what this output is coming. Here this file, if I will click on size of the out, I can see that it again divided into 4 types: text section, data section, BSS section, decimal, and hex and file. So what all these sections are? These sections are nothing but if we will talk about, let's convert this file in assembly. If I will go in text section, this is disassembly of text section. Text section consists of all the code where our code is. Text section is nothing but all the places, all the our code exists in text section only. Similarly, there is a section known as a RO section. See, section RO data type. This consists of read only data type. Basically, data which are only accessible, such as constant, all these things, which can only be accessible for read only purpose. We can't write them. All this type of data comes inside here. And if you will talk about various section header, then you will see there are more than 28 section headers. If you want to see section header, just you have to give -h. You can see data section, content, allocate, load data. These don't comment, BSS, read only data, which BSS we have not to do. Similarly, RO data, FINE, text data. These are all the different section headers of your source, of your binary or ELF, which we can see. And if you want to see, you can see that text section size, data BSS section size, and other size. Similarly, if you talk about memory of these, by default, our most of the interval mostly focus on these 4 types of C memory model, and it consists of more such models or more such sections, but mostly interval focus on 4 or 5 of these things. So let's discuss about them in much more detail. Our C runtime model can be divided into three spaces: global, static memory, heap and stack. When we talk about stack, all the functions which you use, main, fun, all their variables, int a, int b, int c and other things are stored inside a stack. Functional variable are declared here which are local to the function. This stack grow in downward section, grow in downside section, and heap grow upside. Heap is the place where dynamic memory allocation occurs, such as your malloc, calloc allocation, other thing. And BSS means consists of all uninitialized data, and data section consists of initialized data and text where all your code exists. So when we are talking about stack, stack consists of a local variable from function and related things. And similarly, stack follow out LIFO structure. LIFO means last in first out. For example, when we are keeping a notebook together, we have a notebook 1, we put second on each, third on above second, fourth on above third, in similar manner. But when we want to take the notebook for study, what most of the we do, we take the first book, then second, then third, then fourth. This is stack, last in and first out. So this is how variable are stored in stack. All your local variable, here int data is a local variable, this variable is stored inside stack. If you talk about heap section are managed by the memory management functions such as malloc, calloc and free, etc. This internally use BRK and SBRK system call to adjust their size, which we will talk in much more detail in data structure chapters or in operating system when we are discussing about system calls. The heap area is shared by whom? Shared library and dynamic loaders in the process. It heap section grow and shrink in opposite direction of the stack. For example, if your stack grow downward, it will move upward. If it will stock will go move upward, it will move downward. Heap means it allocate the memory at runtime. In upcoming video, when we discuss about compile time and run time, we can discuss in much more detail. Here it will store in heap section. Similarly, if we are talking about BSS data, BSS means uninitialized data segment. All the variable in this segment are initialized by 0. By default, if we are not initializing them to any value, they will take a value by default as 0. For example, all global variable which are not initialized, they are stored in, what is our file name? Local.c. By default, see, this is our global variable 10. If I am commenting it, we don't have any global variable left. And I am also commenting this function. I am commenting this line. This is the way we give a multiple line comment in C. Okay, just comment this too. Don't run, we don't want to see. You see that our BSS section is 8, data section, and these are different output of the size out. Now what we will do, we will declare one global variable with uninitialized. We have not initialized it, and we are printing its value here. When we are printing its value, by default it should be 0 because it will store in BSS section. It should be 0. I am running. If what will the local variable of G's? I am a global variable size is 0. Now I have declared, now if you see that all variable in segment are initialized by 0 and pointer with null pointer, the program load, we have uninitialized data global variable, we have not initialized to it any value. When we run on a size command, you can see your by default section is 8 Now let me declare one more variable, int globe by default both value are 0, and when we are checking of the south we can see that now BSS section size increases. See here BSS section is 8, here BSS section is 16, means by default these values are getting stored in BSS. It makes sense. And now if we are declaring, instead of a we have written a static int a, by default it will be also, I am running this code, I am not checked the out file, BSS section is 16, again I am just declare one more variable, see here BSS section size again increases to 24 bit or any size which is by default. So we can see that all uninitialized data section, such as all uninitialized global variable which is not initialized, it go inside BSS section. Let's now just initialize them with some value, any random value I am providing them. You can see here your BSS section decreases to 4 and your data size increases to 20. BSS section changes to 24 to 4 and data section from 600 to 620. You can see here now this variable which are declared here, they got stored in data section. So all the local and all the global variable and static variable which are uninitialized, they got stored in BSS section, and all the global variable and local variable which are uninitialized which are initialized, they get stored in initialized data segment or DS. Here I just mistakenly mentioned BSS, is not BSS, is DSS or DS, please forgive that. The size of this segment is determined by the size of value in the program source code and does not change at runtime. It has read-write permission, so the value of variable with this segment can change at runtime. This segment can be further classified into initialize read-only area and an initial read-write code. It contains explicitly initial global and static variable which are initialized. So these are the basic C memory layout which will be asked, which will be useful for you for interview purpose. So better C's. And text section is nothing but whole our code area there is known as text section. These are the basic memory C layout. You should pause the video and make it notes so that it will be beneficial for an interview, so that you can qualify the interview and get a better job and your dream job. Thank you for seeing my channel and seeing till the last. For just subscribe my channel and support me if you want to see such a further video. And you can also pay me at my UPI address kotak@coding4all. Thank you for your time, and share with your friend who want to learn about coding. Bye bye. Take care. Be safe in this COVID.